Hello and welcome to the British Dapper, and today we're talking about breaking the mould, challenging Menswear Convention. So today we're just going to give a quick video, and the subject is about challenging convention. Now, as you may well be aware, over history menswear has evolved and changed many times and in different forms. And when it comes to the higher echelons of the British society, for example, we're talking about King Edward VII, King Edward VIII, when they were Prince of Wales, they had a significant impact on menswear in the UK. And even to this day, a lot of their little foibles, if you like, have carried through and have become traditional and considered the norm. For example, when somebody was too large for their waistcoats, they undid the buttons, and it became convention, if you like, that you had to wear a waistcoat with the bottom button undone, because if you were in court and you mixed with His Majesty, then the idea would be that you would fit in, you would be part of his unique club. And of course there are many other examples like that. For example, not matching the tie with the pocket square. Well, in truth, if you go back in time, you wouldn't be able to do that, because a different company would make the tie and a different company would make the pocket square. And it was only convention, if you like, that dictated, well, if you're going to wear a pocket square, it has to be similar to the colours in the tie. It has to complement the tie and what the rest of the outfit. So it becomes institutionalised, if you like, and it has to become the norm because somebody else is wearing it that way, and it grows in stature, it grows in its importance, if you like, in menswear. And so there are lots of little examples like that. Now what I'm saying is I'm not suggesting you go out and buck the trend completely, because that's the job of fashion. Now fashion always clashes against the acceptable, the old guard, the classic look, the traditional look. So tradition and fashion are always at odds with each other. Now traditional classical menswear, typical of Sartorialism, does change in attitude and the way we dress, but it's at a glacial pace. It's very slow and very eroding, and it changes through time. Whereas fashion is very fast, sharp, and challenges the previous. So in fashion, things tend to only last 6 months, and they're designed so one day you're wearing flares, the next day you're wearing skinny jeans. Then, for example, from skinny jeans we go to oversized baggy clothes. So they are always challenging the previous. But they do also have a foot in the traditional camp, because by virtue of the fact that they introduce something into fashion, they still give a nod to tradition. They still give a nod to the width of the lapel, and they change the width of the lapel on a jacket, for example, or how many buttons are used, and they use history as a way of invigorating something into new. So, you know, it's one of those changing, ever-evolving things. What I'm really trying to get to today is that, yes, there are rules, but if you're starting out, this channel is dedicated to somebody that's not worn things before. They haven't worn a suit before. They feel a bit awkward wearing a pocket square or a tie. My message to you is, don't be afraid to experiment. Try different ties on, different colours. Yes, there is a colour wheel, and the colour wheel gives you an example of how things can complement each other, and gives you an idea of colour combinations. So let's just remember, you're wearing clothes to express your personality. And I know a lot of people, they stick to these rules so rigidly, they conform to what the rules are. They don't demonstrate their personality, just that they can follow the rules. So when it comes to define convention, by making some little changes that are a little bit avant-garde, a little bit different, for example, wearing slightly different shoes to the conventional approach, for example, wearing Oxford shoes when you're wearing a business look, changing that to wearing maybe brogues just blurs that line a little bit, but perfectly acceptable in this day and age. Let's not forget, people in this day and age wear a suit because they want to wear a suit. They wear a jacket because they want to. If they don't want to do that, then they wear jeans, t-shirts, hoodies, casual wear. So if you're on this journey and you want to start looking towards a more sartorial way of life, then that encompasses changing your style. And part of that is thinking for yourself rather than following rigid rules. The rules are there just as a guideline to steer you on the right path. What I would say, if you're starting out on this sartorial journey, the first thing is you made the first step in wearing a suit or wearing a tie or wearing a cravat or a bow tie. You're wearing decent shoes compared to trainers. Then you are on an escalator to an end destination, and you're at the beginning of that journey. As you go, you will learn, you will grow in the way you wear your clothes, the style that you want to adapt to you, what you want to portray when you wear those clothes, rather than conform to what everybody else is wearing. And that doesn't mean the general public, that also means within the sartorial community as well. So if you like a certain colour that you want to wear with an outfit that doesn't meet the colour wheel, for an example, it doesn't mean to say it's not going to work, okay? It might not appeal to everybody, but it's what is more important is that it appeals to you. It makes you feel good wearing it. It makes you feel comfortable, relaxed. You feel that $1 million, and it makes you feel special about yourself. A lot of sartorialists will venture, once they've gone through this formal process of wearing things to convention, will start to, once they've understood the rules, start breaking them subtly in places to create their own personality when they wear these clothes. And that's the intention of this channel, to get you to that, on that journey, and to give you some tools and some information that will maybe help you along that journey, or possibly help you create your own personality and your own style, which is the most important thing about this journey. So don't get bogged down with the materials that are used initially. Remain in that classic sort of look, because you're never in fashion, you're never really out of fashion. So for example, if you bought a tie and you've got a pocket square that came with it, my suggestion is, for the best results, use them separately. So if you've got a similar colour tie and pocket square, then swap them over. So for example, this one, this pocket square is more yellow than red, but it has got typically the same sort of colours in it. But you can see that they don't actually match. And it's the same with something else. You might have a blue check tie, and you might have a blue check pocket square. You might have a blue paisley tie and a paisley pocket square. So why not swap them over? So you've got the paisley tie with the checked pocket square, or the paisley pocket square with the checked tie. And it's a way of complementing it without that direct match. So when it comes to the colour of your shirt, don't be afraid to experiment with some colour. You know, try a different colour, pink, pale blues. This is an off-white, a white shirt. Depending on what you're wearing, you might even try a mauve or a heather or a lavender coloured shirt, or even a purple shirt. So the point being really is to experiment a little bit, try something. If it doesn't work, you know you won't do it again. But the whole point is to gain experience while we do that. And when I say challenge convention, all I'm saying is don't be afraid to challenge it. So wear a hat if you want to wear a hat. It might not be the best matching hat for the colour of your ensemble, but that will happen in time. For example, I like to wear a lot of silk ties, but I'm not adverse to wearing polyester. Now that will potentially, a lot of people say, don't do that. Don't wear polyester. Don't do this, don't do this. Wear wool, wear cotton. My point is, you have to start somewhere. So if you see a tie you like, and it's polyester, then maybe in the early stages, that's where you're going to start wearing those materials. As you get more polished in your approach and the way you look, then maybe you want to continue, then that's when you start to think about investing money and in statement pieces and long-term planning and planning your items to last a long period of time. So I love shoes that are a little bit unusual. So Oliver Sweeney, a lovely pairs of shoes and boots. They're not really matching conventional looks. So Jeffrey West is another shoe company. They are a little bit different. Take them because they've got an Italian cut. They look good with a little bit of broguing on them. They're a little bit unusual, but you can still see they fit in with that look. So where I'd wear traditional brogue shoes, then I might wear Oliver Sweeney brogue medallion shoes. And they have a different look and they're a little bit edgy, but not too much to challenge the convention of wearing a classic look. Don't be afraid of materials. So for example, if it's the summer months, it's summer at the moment here in the UK, soon to slip into autumn, but materials change. So whilst you might wear very thin wools, silk mohair mixes, you might wear cotton or linen suits, then the next level might be we're moving into more thicker wool materials. Because we're getting a little bit cooler, you might start introducing waistcoats as well, because the weather conditions change. And with that also the colour palette might change. So in October we're looking for more autumn-like colours. So we're talking about burnt oranges, browns, camel colours, soft greens, for example forest greens, burgundies, mustard colours. All those sort of softer colours that you typically see, if you like, in the foliage around the countryside in October, November, December time. But another thing to consider is if you're wearing something in a casual setting, for example, I wear quite a lot of tweed. Now sometimes my shirts are cutaway shirts and they have double cuff, French cuff, and that's not really suited for wearing with jeans or with a tweed jacket because the shirt is a little bit more higher level, higher in formality. But mixing it up a little bit, the colour really goes well. And even though the shirt's not typically the right sort of shirt for that environment, it still has a very good look and presents well. And so whilst there's conventions saying you should only wear barrel cuffs or you should only wear French cuffs or cocktail cuffs in certain circumstances, don't be afraid to challenge that convention a little bit. Same with watches, the size of the watch. You know, don't be afraid to challenge it just a little bit. Give it a little nudge. Same with socks. I wouldn't necessarily say you want to go with day glow socks or white socks, or, you know, but maybe a little bit of detail in them might change the overall look of the ensemble. The same with the colour of the shoes. The formality of the shoes being from black, hole cut, toe capped, Oxfords, all the way down to brogues. Then we're talking about derby shoes. Then we're talking about changing the colour into burgundies, and then into browns, and then even into light tans. So tan shoes are great in the summer months, and as we're heading into October now, I'll be looking at changing those to a more darker tans, chestnuts, and then into burgundy colours. Obviously black is always going to be formal, but it's just that change, that transition through seasons. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Just a few of my little ideas, but if you'd like to subscribe, then please feel free to do so. We love constructive comments, so if you feel you have something you'd like to raise, then jot it down below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. We love ideas, so if you've got some suggestions, then please jot them down. They may end up being featured in our next videos. We also have a Buy Me a Coffee page, so I'll put the link down below. If you'd like to make a contribution to the channel, then please feel free to do so. Until next time, take care.